they bought her off. She's paid off politicians, but she's paid off, 100% paid off. And until we brought this up, and I brought it up, and then she talks about women, well, let me tell you, I'm much better for women than Hillary Clinton will ever be.
Here's who can drive a car, whether she can go to school or whether she can go to work, and she would need 4 male eyewitnesses for rape. In some cases, they don't even believe in marital rape. So the question is, if you go up there and you want to come to America, how do we vet somebody's heart and ascertain if they're coming here for freedom or if they want to proselytize, indoctrinate, and bring their theocracy with them?
Assimilation has been very hard. It's almost, I won't say non-existent, but it gets to be pretty close. And I'm talking about second and third generation. They don't, for some reason, there's no real assimilation.
Right.
And you see it all over the place. And, you know, what are we going to do? I'm not even talking about assimilation. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about there is a percentage of people that want to do what this maniac did in Orlando. There's a percentage of people.
It's true.
That percentage becomes, the number of people become more and more as we take in thousands and thousands of more people. There's a hate that's going on that's unbelievable, okay?
Truth.
They don't mind dying. There's a hate that's going on that's unbelievable. And we allow it to happen. They use the internet better than we do. ISIS is using the internet better than we do.
Why can't the president and Hillary Clinton utter the words radical Islamic terrorism?
Well,
they don't want to.
They choose not to.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand why.
Personally, they're getting paid.
It doesn't, I mean, whatever the reason is, they can't say it. Now, she said something yesterday, you know, because of me, I'm forcing her into this position.
I would say she was shamed into it.
Well, she was shamed into it, but she didn't really say the words. And she said, I would be willing to use those words, but she didn't do it. So
6 months ago, she said she wouldn't use them.
Sean, Hillary Clinton, especially in these times, will be a terrible president. Her Secret Service agent said she's a disaster.
I believe so.
She's a total disaster.
I mean, the evidence is overwhelming.
She talks about my temperament. My temperament is great. It's a tough temperament, but that's what we need. Her temperament, she's wacky. I mean, she's wacky.
Yeah, she's messed up a lot of interviews, a lot of... I mean, she's all over the place, very confusing sounding. You guys paying attention? I mean, honestly, paying attention, or you're just hating on somebody and ignoring the facts?
Intelligence capabilities. There's such big differences. The economy's bad. How big is this issue versus the economy? These are massive challenges.
Well, it's turning out I'm doing very well in the economy, in the polls. I'm leading on the economy by far. I'll produce jobs. I'm going to bring jobs back. I'm not going to let countries take our businesses. There is going to be...
And I believe him because he makes money. He's a businessman. I mean, people, why would he not? Why would he not do something to help himself make money and help America make money when he's an American-owned business? I mean, pay attention here.
So much energy right now under our own ground that modern techniques have found. So we don't need the Middle East like we don't need it
exactly.
We needed it so badly years ago. But we're protecting Saudi Arabia. We're spending $4 trillion, maybe $5 trillion total in the Middle East over the last 15 years.
For what?
It could be more than that. We have to rebuild our country. Our country's a mess. Our airports are no good. Our roads are no good. They're falling apart. I was with somebody the other day, one of the biggest trucking companies. He said, Mr. Trump, we can't even drive on the roads anymore. They're so bad. They're ruining their trucks. You know, they're hitting massive potholes, and they're really ruining them.
I do know truck drivers. This is true.
Issues, but the
shout out to all my truck drivers.
Now with the attack, and there'll be others, because we don't have the vigilance. And the Muslims are not turning in. If you look at what's going on, they're not turning people in.
Borders, refugees, certainly the issue of energy.
Look at the guy in Australia. He ran for his life. All he did was promote murder gays. Now he disappeared, left Australia as soon as this happened in America.
When Mohammed Morsi, the former Muslim Brotherhood head, referred to the Israelis as descendants of apes and pigs, Obama and Hillary Clinton gave him F-16s, tanks, and $1 billion.
Yeah.
So if they're really concerned about weaponry in the hands of radicals, why would they give him all of that equipment?
Because
this war makes money.
Obama treats others far better than he treats Israel. He treats Israel so badly. I have many Jewish friends, and they raise money for him, and they raise money for the Democrats. I say, what are you people doing? Why would you do this?
Make sure you pay attention to the writing on the bottom.
Perhaps will go down as the worst thing.
Hillary was a part of that too.
Of course, she was a part of it.
Started then.
She was a part
I like Hannity because he keeps it real. He's pretty cool with Trump.
It is the worst deal for them that I can imagine. So look, we have a big election coming up. We have two very obvious choices, and there's one obvious one, and there's one obviously not so good, and I will tell you, I'll do a great job. So many of these issues, Sean, you look at energy, you look at borders, you look at the military. Our military is totally depleted. It's depleted. We're using jets where they have to get parts from used old planes. You look at all of these different things. Those are my issues. So we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. What happened in Orlando is a disgrace.
Yes.
It should never, ever be allowed.
And preventable.
It was extremely preventable.
It's totally preventable.
But you won't hear Clinton and all them say that. They'll say it's about gun laws and stuff.
Definition of the wrong hands. And weapons of war have no place in our streets.
All right, that was the President Hillary Clinton earlier today using the terror attacks in Orlando to push their anti-gun agenda. Clearly, they don't get it.
So they don't really even care about the actual victims. They just want to push their political agendas. And it's like my slogan says, you cannot take away good people's protection against bad people's weapons.
Same Secretary of State that negotiated with the #1 state sponsor of terror ended up giving them $150 billion to spin their centrifuges and make nuclear weapons. The same people that gave the former head of the Muslim Brotherhood F-16s, tanks at $1 billion, the guy that referred to Israelis as descendants of apes and pigs, and they're worried about Bo Dietl and Sean Hannity and John Lott having a pistol? Seriously?
I mean, with that much money, they're going to be able to get all sorts of weapons to terrorists, no matter what types of security that you put in there. I mean, I just don't understand. There's a simple thing that they could try to do here, and that is get rid of these gun-free zones. I mean, every time.
Yeah.
I mean, since 1950, with 3 exceptions, every one of these attacks has been a gun-free zone. We just had 2 months ago in Detroit, a father was concerned about his son being involved in ISIS, contacted the FBI. The FBI put a wiretap on him, and they have him on tape. He was plotting to go after one of the largest churches in Detroit. And he said the reason why he wanted to go after something like that because he had checked and he knew that people there didn't have guns, that they weren't allowed to be able to carry.
It's interesting, and you know this because you study this, Bo. The former President Clinton today, and his wife obviously agrees with him, actually said that, you know, it was a good thing that Orlando club goers didn't have arms so they could shoot back or more people would have got hurt. Now,
what?
If you and myself and our friend Sheriff...
It's kind of crazy when you think about it, because if I had my weapon, I probably would have shot him as he was reloading. And we probably would have saved a good 70, 80 lives.
The fact of the matter, ISIS says, kill infidels any way you can. Use your Ford 150, whatever you have to do. Look what happened in Paris. Just yesterday, where they killed the cop and his wife, and they stabbed them to death. You know what they'll do? If they can't get their hands on a gun, they'll use a fertilizer bomb.
And then people want to say America's no good, but let's be real. Our country has less attacks than any other country out there.
Weapons in France last year that were used in the vortex, all of them were...
France.
Let me go to Sheriff.
I mean, come on. Australia.
Sheriff, if I'm in San Bernardino, if I'm in Orlando or Chattanooga, if I'm anywhere where there's a terror attack, I would really like it, and I don't mean this in a bad way, that somebody like yourself is there, or somebody like myself who's carried a firearm my entire adult life, or Bo Dietl. Because I believe at least we'd have a chance when they drop their clip to get them and prevent death.
That's exactly what I said.
Sean, there's a reason why the symbol of the Democratic Party is a jackass, because they're not real smart.
Oh, man. He just said it how it is.
President Obama and Mrs. Bill Clinton with those foolish statements. You know, it's their automatic default. You know that, Sean. They drag this thing out there, one-trick pony. You could have a hurricane sweep through the southeast section of the country, and you know what their reaction would be? We need more gun control. It's the NRA's fault. That's all they know. John hit the nail right on the head. Gun-free zones are killing fields. When you have a gun-free zone, you are leading people to slaughter. Now, in the case of a nightclub, it's a little different because you have people drinking. Some people are inebriated. You've got to be a little careful about allowing people to go armed in an intoxicated state. However, what they could have done and should have done
Is had armed security.
Is they should have had armed security.
Exactly. Look, I knew that was coming. Common sense, logic, sensible ideas that people don't have.
They allow people to carry concealed handguns in bars. there's no problems that anybody can point to with that. You know, maybe you can say if you're carrying a gun, you're not allowed to drink there. You know, like a designated driver type thing. But that's
I agree with that.
These people who go and get the permits are incredibly law-abiding. If they could point to even
Exactly.
a couple cases,
John, I had a carry permit in New York, Rhode Island, California, Alabama, Georgia. I've carried it since I'm 20 years old. And I was trained, I was a
See?
marksman, better
Look
than
at
Bo at the age of 11.
But you know,
I'm kidding,
the problem here again is, let's look at our inner cities, Baltimore, Chicago, where we have the highest murder rates.
I was
These
just gonna
guns
get to
are
that.
the illegal guns killing our minority children.
The most
in our
restricted
cities.
gun
Our
laws in
governor
these
can't
cities,
word
and they have the
out
highest
his
murder
mouth
rates in
about
all of
the deaths
America.
in his hometown of Chicago.
So how does that
I
help
get
us?
angry when he talks like that.
Last word, Sheriff Clark.
Gets me angry
Well,
too.
the thing about gun control is any conversation about gun control.
So you're just
has
putting
to,
us good people
go
out there to
along
be
the
hurt
lines of
for no
two things.
reason.
It has to pass constitutional muster, and it has to be achievable. And if you look at those 2 points with the gun control ideas, these inane ideas
Yeah.
from the Democrats and the left, neither of those are achievable.
They'll give money to the Iranians, the #1 state sponsor of terror, and they'll give the president of Egypt, who's a former head of the Muslim Brotherhood, weapons, F-16s, tanks,
Yeah.
and money. It's insane. Thank you all for being
But
with
they
me.
want to take away our
To be a
protection.
Democrat is to be hypocritical, Sean, and you know
Well, I
that.
think
though.
you nailed it in the beginning. They're jackasses, but, you know, I don't want to...
Exactly. Love that response. Thank you guys for tuning in. Who's Ominous TV?
And the choice for Donald
You
Trump
see
is
it
there.
first.